Hello? Hello? Do these ones work? Just that? Okay. Oh, okay. Dodi? Oh, okay. Shall we start? Are we starting? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, media, and friends, and welcome. My name is Dr. Louise Carol Donko, and I am honored to be your host today as we gather to celebrate a significant occasion, the commemoration of World Consumer Rights Day, and additionally, the launch of the research report on the state of the Ghanaian consumer study, conducted by CATS International, Accra. World Consumer Rights Day traces its origins to a historic speech delivered by US President John F. Kennedy on March 15, 1962, to the United States Congress. In his address, Kennedy outlined 4 fundamental consumer rights: the right to safety, the right to be informed, the right to choose, and the right to be heard. This landmark speech laid the foundation for global consumer protection movements. Inspired by this, consumer advocacy groups around the world began to recognize the need for a day dedicated to raising awareness of consumer rights. In 1983, the global consumer advocacy group Consumers International formally declared March 15 as World Consumer Rights Day, to commemorate Kennedy's declaration and to promote the protection of consumer rights worldwide. World Consumer Rights Day is celebrated annually to highlight the importance of protecting consumers' interests and to advocate for their rights in the marketplace. Ladies and gentlemen, today we come together not only to unveil critical insights into the experiences and rights of consumers in Ghana, but also to commemorate this day, albeit late, to raise awareness about the importance of consumer protection and empowerment locally and globally. This year's theme for World Consumer Rights Day united us on the cause for a just transition to sustainable lifestyles, which underscores the urgent need to make sustainable and healthy lifestyle choices available, accessible, and affordable for all consumers, while ensuring that these transitions uphold people's basic rights and needs. Before we dive into our program, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge a few individuals and organizations who are here with us today. Representing the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, and Agribusiness is Madame Patricia Boatin Bano, Director of Standards at the Ministry of Trade. Is she around? Please help me welcome her. Thank you, Madame, for being with us today. We also have Justice Doce, retired Justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana and Board Chairman for CATS International, Accra. Thank you, sir. We also have in our midst Professor Goski Alabi, President for Accra Metropolitan University and a consumer rights advocate. Is she here? Okay, she's on her way. She will be here with us. We also have Professor Alice Dodu, Director General, Ghana Standards Authority. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. Lawyer Apiakusi Adumako, Director, West African Regional Center, CATS International, Accra. Thank you, sir. Representatives from governments, Bank of Ghana, civil society, the academic community, media, and all of us here present to support and engage in discussions about consumer rights. Let's give them and us, ourselves, a mighty round of applause. Please, you all deserve it. The media, yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. All right, so we will kick things off with a few opening remarks. I was going to run us through the program for today, or maybe I should. We will have some opening remarks. We will do the research report presentation. The panel discussion follows after that. Then a Q&A session, then the closing remarks. So with that, let's get started. It's my pleasure to invite lawyer Apiakusi Adumako, Country Director, CAT Accra, to deliver the opening remarks.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my board chair, my Lord Justice Doce, retired Justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana, and CAT's board members who are here, of the Minister of Trade, Director General for Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Justice Doce. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to welcome all of you to Alisa Hotel in Accra, where we meet today to launch the State of the Ghanaian Consumer Report. I'm not a person who likes to read from speech. So today we've gathered here to launch the State of the Ghanaian Consumer Report. This is an initiative that CAT dreamt about it about 12 years ago, since 2014. But unfortunately, getting funding to do this study has been very, very difficult. Until last year, we were happy to get a small fund from National Communication Authority that we also have to add about 70% of our internally generated funds to be able to do this study. Why did we choose these sectors? We've realized that Ghana doesn't have a consumer protection law, and so you and I, whenever we go to the market, it has become more like take or leave it. And whenever you have a complaint, you only go and take your complaints to God, because most of the businesses will not even entertain a complaint from you. Whilst we have regulatory bodies around to do some level of consumer protection for Ghanaians, there seems to be, and I think the research findings will show that there's a whole lot of gaps between what the consumers know and what the regulators are supposed to do. And so this work that we've done is supposed to help bridge the gap between what it is and what the consumers are supposed to do. And finally, also to catalyze the process so that the long-awaited consumer protection bill, which has gathered dust at the Ministry of Trade, would begin to move so that before the end of the year, we can have this consumer protection law. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we said, this is not just a study to add to the body of literature. It's a study backed by an action. And we want to urge institutions that are gathered here that getting this work done is a bit expensive. And next year, for example, we want to also look into additional sectors, including insurance, housing, general market conditions, and food and drugs. And all of these things are very, very important to us. Late, we've heard of what is happening in the northern Ghana, the opioid crisis. People don't even know where to even report some of these crises. And we are currently building a society whereby the citizens are kind of detached from the realities. Whenever you are driving around and you see that the traffic light is not working, you don't know whether to talk to God above or to call your MP. We don't know who is supposed to do some of these things. And when we talk about accountability, we are always talking about accountability, the political accountability of the people who are supposed to get things done. These people, most of the time, we don't talk about them, but we talk about the the political accountability. But I think accountability should run from bottom to up, and so that we can live in a society whereby everybody will be responsible and the consumer will be empowered. Once again, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to engaging discussions today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lawyer Apia Adumako. It's fantastic to see all of you and to know that we are all passionate about consumer rights. So I think he did mention, something about the fact that when we encounter challenges, you wonder whether you should be pleading with the angels above or God above, or you should be, talking to the demons below. So I think that it's a very important subject for today. And so I'm also very happy that we are all committed and passionate about the subject, and that's why we are here this afternoon. So I would like to call on the next speaker for a short remarks. That would be Justice Doce, the board chair for CATS. Please let's welcome him. And after Justice Doce, we would have, if Professor Goski Alabi is here, she would follow. If not, then Professor Alex Dodu will follow. Very young, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, all of you. It's an honor to be here again. I think this is my second speech as chairman of CAS International and CAS Accra for that matter. And I'll take this opportunity to welcome all of you, especially the representatives of the Honorable Minister of Trade, Industry and Agribusiness, the Director General of Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, Chief Executives of all regulatory bodies present, including Mr. Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, who is my good friend, captains of industries, CEOs, private sectors, representatives, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen here, and those watching us live from Channel 1 TV. Good afternoon once again, and a heartfelt welcome to this landmark event, World Consumer Rights Day 2025, and the launch of the State of Consumer Rights in Ghana 2025, insights into awareness, satisfaction, and recommendations for reform. As the board chair of CAS Accra, and drawing from my years of service as a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana, it is both an honor and a profound responsibility to address you today. We stand at a defining moment in our nation's journey towards justice, fairness, and equity, not only in the courts, but in the everyday lives of our 33 million citizens as consumers. World Consumer Rights Day is observed annually on March 15th to raise awareness about consumer rights and promote their protection globally. It originated in 1983, as was said by the MC, inspired by a historic speech by the US President John F. Kennedy on March 15, 1962, in which he addressed Congress and outlined 4 basic consumer rights, which are the right to safety, the right to be informed, the right to choose, and to be heard. This speech laid the foundation for the modern consumer movement, and Consumers International, a global federation of consumer organizations, later established the day to commemorate and advance these principles. The day aims to empower consumers, which we are all consumers, to advocate for fair and safe market practices and pressure governments and businesses to uphold and strengthen consumer protections, focusing a more equitable and accountable marketplace worldwide. CAS is celebrating it today instead of last Saturday. Today's gathering serves a dual purpose: celebrating World Consumer Rights Day and the launch of the State of Consumer Rights in Ghana 2025, insights into awareness, satisfaction, and recommendations for reform. This study is a pioneering effort, the first of its kind in Ghana, traversing 8 vital sectors that shape our daily existence. And these are water, electricity, telecommunications, banking, road safety, e-commerce, waste management, and aviation. Never before has a single report so comprehensively captured the pulse of the Ghanaian consumer across such a diverse array of services. With data drawn from a survey of 1,795 consumers nationwide, enriched by focus group discussions and qualitative interviews, this report lays bare the realities of consumer awareness, satisfaction, and the pressing need for reform. It is a clarion call to action, rooted in evidence and amplified by the voices of the people. Yet, this is not a task that CARS intends to shoulder alone, nor should it be a one-off endeavor. Consumer empowerment is a collective mission, one that demands sustained commitment across time and sectors. To this end, I extend a heartfelt invitation to the private sector, regulatory authorities, and all well-meaning Ghanaians to join us in this noble cause. Your partnership, whether through resources, expertise, or advocacy, will ensure that this initiative evolves annually, adapting to new challenges and opportunities. Together, we can forge a movement that places the consumer at the center of Ghana's economic and social progress. Let me be unequivocal. This report is not destined to be a ceremonial artifact, unveiled before cameras today only to gather dust tomorrow. No. CARS is resolute in its pledge to translate its findings into action. CARS will collaborate closely with key regulatory bodies, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, the National Communications Authority, NCA, the National Road Safety Authority, NRSA, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA, and the Bank of Ghana, BOG, to confront the concerns raised by Ghanaians head-on. I trust we can count on all the corporations or all the regulatory bodies. Whether it is the frustration of erratic water supply, frequent power outages, unreliable telecommunications, unsafe roads or information asymmetry in banking services, these are not mere inconveniences. They are breaches of the social contract that we have signed with them, and these demand remedy. This resolve is strengthened by the fact that CARS shared this report with all concerned regulators, and their feedback and comments have sharpened its insights, ensuring it reflects a collaborative spirit. As a retired judge of the Supreme Court, I've spent decades upholding the rule of law and safeguarding the rights of Ghanaians. Today, I see consumer rights as an extension of that mission, a fundamental pillar of justice that touches every household, every business, and every community. In a real sense, all life is interrelated because, for example, the ECG managing director consumes data from MTN and also uses water, for example. MTN CEO requires water from Ghana Water Company and safer roads to drive on. The bank manager needs a stable electricity supply to function as well as adequate potable water. Whether you are a service provider or a regulator, the least common denominator is that we are all consumers of each other's products or services. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is the hope that the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Agribusiness and Government will heed this call and pass the long overdue consumer protection law this year. Such a law will provide a unified framework to protect consumers, bridge regulatory gaps, and empower citizens to demand accountability from service providers. The absence of this legislation remains a glaring void in our legal system, and its enactment is a step we can no longer delay. In closing, reaffirm that this launch is not an end, but a beginning. The evidence before us, painstakingly gathered and meticulously analyzed, offers a roadmap for reform. It challenges us to build a Ghana where every consumer is informed, empowered, and respected. Let me repeat this again. The evidence before us, painstakingly gathered and meticulously analyzed, offers a roadmap for reform. It challenges us to build a Ghana where every consumer is informed, empowered, and, I dare say, respected. I urge all stakeholders here today, government, regulators, private sector, civil society, and the media, to seize this moment. Let us work together to ensure that the rights of the Ghanaian consumer are not just aspirations on paper, but lived realities in our markets, our homes, and our streets. Thank you, and may this report light the path towards a more just and consumer-centric Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice Doce. In fact, I think the joke that we are when we are in law faculty or law school, and the brilliant ones amongst us, we give them names like Justice Doce. Just the little that we know, we call ourselves justices and, all that after the eminent one. So thank you so much for being with us today and for your contribution to the developing Ghana's jurisprudence. Yeah. Please, shall we have Professor Dodu? Professor Dodu is the Director General for Ghana Standards Authority. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Elizabeth Ofosojari, represented by Mrs. Patience Boateng-Bano. Pat, you are welcome. My Lord Justice Doce. Professor Goski is not here. Lawyer Adumako. And I'm looking for Ken. Ken Ashibe, I cannot see him. Ken. Okay, my brother. I have a very short speech to give. I've seen too many familiar faces, family and friends. But as we celebrate World Consumer Day, I'm glad that previous speakers have highlighted four things. The right of the consumer, that is your right to safety, your right to be informed, your right to choose. One, you should be safe. Once you are safe, you can ask for information. Once you get that information, you have a right to choose. And once you choose, you need to give feedback, whether it was good or not. So you have a right to be heard. Later on, after JFK has said all these things, there were two more rights added. The right to redress, and I think that's why the courts are there. And also the right to consumer education. State parties are enjoined by law to educate the public because they must know before they can act. I have been a consumer rights advocate all my life. I write a lot on consumer issues, and I consider myself a consumer. I started life in making sure everybody is safe when it comes to medicines and vaccines. Now I think I do all sorts, all other products. So the first question is this. I've heard several times in my beloved country, Ghana, that we don't have standards in this country. I've heard it too many times. And because I've been asked this question, I want to answer this question directly without any equivocation. We do have standards in Ghana. We do have standards. Whether we enforce the standards is another matter. And as a university professor, I think my language should come with facts. So let me give you the details. As of today, 19th March 2025, the total number of standards that the Republic of Ghana through the GSA has published is 3,176 published and gazetted by law. Out of these, 906 are Ghanaian standards. Then, by law, we adopt standards where the international ones are as good for us and no need to change. So the ISO standards that Ghana has adopted identically is 1,095. The American Society for Testing and Material Standards that we have adopted is 138. African standards, and I happen to be the president for the African Standards Organization. Ghana has adopted 24 African standards. In relation to Telecom and Co., the International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC, we have adopted 568 of their standards. And others, like the International Telecom Union and Co., we have adopted 445 standards. So in short, we have 3,176 Ghana standards. Because even when we adopt an international standard, the law mandates us to take it through a Ghanaian process and call it a Ghana standard / international standard. Because if it is not a Ghana standard, it cannot be enforced in the courts of Ghana. In doing standards, we form technical committees. And it may interest you to know that we have 31 different technical committees with 16 subcommittees. And I'll just give you a flavor. We have a technical committee for jewelry. We call it TC9. They've developed 8 standards. We have a technical committee at the Ghana Standards Authority for petrol and petroleum products. And we have developed 93 petrol and petroleum products for Ghana. We have a technical committee for oil and gas, TC22. Understandably, we have developed 192 standards. We have a technical committee for food, TC1. Food starts. Without food, you can't do anything. So TC1, we have developed 487 food standards, which the Food and Drugs Authority has been enforcing. In the area of cosmetics, Technical Committee 3, we have 31 standards. Medical devices, 31. Wood and wood products, 54. And in the building and construction industry, we have 67 standards developed. I said my speech will be very short, and I promise you to be short. In 4 minutes, I land. But in relation specifically to the 2025 Ghanaian Consumer Report, I note that the research focused on 8 key areas. So I'm happy to let you know that 1, we have standards in all the 8 key areas. The NCA has been a big consumer of standards from the GSA. Every year they write to us with their standardization needs, as do other agencies. But let me tell you what the laws of Ghana have done as we wait for the Consumer Protection Bill. In the year 2022, the Parliament of Ghana passed the Ghana Standards Authority Act, Act of 2022, Act 1078, 1078. And for consumers, especially those who want to go to court, let me tell you what the law says so that you can file the various writs to compel national agencies to do what they must do. I hear there's a law called mandamus. When I retire from public service, it will be my favorite word because I'm a consumer rights advocate. The Ghana Standards Authority Act 1078, Section 3, subsection BIII states, and I quote, the law mandates the Ghana Standards Authority to, quote, prohibit in consultation with the relevant government agency and in the national interest, the sale or manufacture of any kind of goods that does not conform to the applicable standards. My Lord, I'm sure this is music to your ears. Furthermore, since we are talking about Telecom and Co., I don't know whether we measure the data we buy that runs away faster than normal, or the electricity, or the water. But all will change. The law mandates the Minister for Trade to appoint by notice in the Gazette, that is Section 60 of the law, the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, that is myself, as the custodian of weights and measures, to ensure that all weighing and measuring in industry, trade, health, commerce, environment is accurate. And in case of any dispute in weights and measures, the views of the custodian is final. I have been gazetted as a custodian, and I stand as the custodian, and I can already tell that the time has run beyond what we said we should do. So already I'll be applying the laws. Now, my last 2 points. Act 1078 makes it an offense for anyone to use in trade, industry, health, and commerce any device, including water meters, electricity meters, telecom measuring devices, which have not been approved nor verified by the Ghana Standards Authority, and they must have a stamp of verification showing that they have been done. My Lord, I will say that this is not being done, because I will leave it to the consumers, but you must demand. And indeed, Section 73 of Act 1078 defines the administrative penalties, fines, and custodial sentence with non-compliance. If you don't comply, the law has one, I take money from you. That's GSA. If you don't pay, the law says we compound it. If you don't pay, the law says GSA takes you to court. And if you are still stubborn, the law prescribes custodial sentence so that consumers will be free. So, what have we done? For the sake of time, I can tell you that the Ghana Standards Authority has generated data across every sector in terms of the quality of goods and services in the country. And at appropriate time, we shall move them. Secondly, we are expanding our workforce to have inspectors everywhere to monitor this. Thirdly, and specifically for consumers here, the GSA has built a world-class electricity meter testing laboratory to ensure that now if there is dispute on your smart meter, check whether it's verified by us. If it's not, it's even being used illegally in the first place. And secondly, you can press charges. My Lord, when you are in front of judges, you don't speak too much or else your world will be held against you. But it's a pleasure to be here. I believe as a country, as we listen to His Excellency the President and carry on his vision of resetting this nation and moving this nation forward, I prescribe to you that moving a nation forward relies on rules of trading, rules on services. These rules to the GSA are called standards because they prescribe the specifications and how they can be realized. And I dare say that on World Consumer Day, consumers should know that standards are to make their life easy, are to make their trade fair and transparent. And dare I say that if Ghana adopts standards, the nation will be reset. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. So, it's been very enlightening, and I think here in Ghana, we used to say, we need laws, we need laws, we need laws. Quickly, we realized that as for the laws, they exist, but the enforcement is the problem. So, since Prof made a suggestion, I'm thinking that the Ghana Standards Authority building should be called Enforcement House, because that's the challenge, so we can remember that part, all the time. Thank you so much. Now we will dive deeper into the findings of the study, and I have the pleasure to call Lawyer Apia Adumako to do that for us. So, Lawyer, as you are coming, for me, what is important to me is whether by what I'm going to learn here, when I get to Makola, the Makola woman will know that I have rights. Is that one going to be applicable? Because that's where I'm going to shop. And if it trickles down there, that's when we can have some impact. So I can't wait to hear, Lawyer, on what the findings are about and many more. please.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, I present the highlights of the research finding. And it is the State of Ghanaian Studies 2025. And I'll start with the introduction and I'll proceed to the conclusion. We know consumer rights is an issue that, as my Lord said, everyone is a consumer. Fortunately, service do not see themselves as a consumer until they run into a problem and then they realize that they are also a consumer of. But if we all see ourselves as consumers, we will prioritize the welfare of consumers. The system is being restarted, but whilst they restart it, while it's being restarted, we selected 8 sectors: water, electricity, banking, telecom, e-commerce, road safety, aviation, and sanitation. These things were selected because they are things that we use on our daily lives. And unfortunately, when you run into with some of these sectors, you are unable to proceed with your complaint. And as I said earlier on, you have to take it to God in prayer, because we all sing this hymn, "What a friend we have in Jesus." What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. But the last time I talked to God, God said, "Look, I don't need those things as your prayer." Do you get it? So Ghanaians, when you have problem, let's take it to our regulators. Let's take first to the service providers and then to the regulators. Okay. Well. Okay, thank you. I think consumer right protection is a critical component of a socio-economic development, serving as the foundation for a fair and equitable marketplace. As Ghana continues to integrate into the global economy, understanding the challenges and opportunities facing consumers and the need to safeguard their interest in the markets is more important than ever. As we know, laws in this country, data protection law, electronic transactions act, these laws, when you go in, you have some provisions on consumer protection. But the problem is that they are all in silos. So one particular problem, you may have to deal with 5 regulators, and that may be very expensive and also time-consuming. This report provides a comprehensive analysis of the current state of the consumer rights and protection across 8 sectors, as I mentioned: telecom, road safety, e-commerce, banking and financial services, water, electricity, waste management, and aviation. Okay. Please. Okay. Can you come and help me with the... Sorry. Okay, so the objective of the study is to evaluate the level of consumer awareness regarding their rights and responsibilities across the 8 sectors, and also to assess the effectiveness of existing consumer protection mechanisms, including the legal framework, regulatory bodies, and the redress processes in addressing consumer grievances and ensuring a fair marketplace. And finally, to also examine the impact of consumer rights and protection on socio-economic development in Ghana, identifying the ways in which empowered consumers can contribute to the equitable growth and improved quality of life. Okay, how did we do this study? So this study, we used a mixed approach, 8 sectors, quantitative. We spoke to 1,775 consumers across the country. We hope that with your support, we may be able to do about 10,000 consumer sample size. 10 regions of Ghana. We did 20 focus group discussion. Each group had about 8 to 10 participants. We explored the key themes, consumer challenges, effectiveness of the redress mechanism, recommendations for improving consumer protection. Then we did the analysis of the data. And these were the sample size. As you can see, telecom, we had about 430. It was only the aviation that we struggled to get respondents. We had 50, because aviation is not, you don't have more users for aviation than, telecom. So, Engineer Ashibe, your industry has more respondents than any other respondents. For road safety, 296. Then e-commerce 100, banking was 200, electricity was 275, water 230, waste management was 208, and as I said, aviation was 50. These were the age group, various respondents, and then also the education. You can see that the majority of the respondents are between the ages of 26 to 45. And these were the further demographic characters concerning their employment status and also the income level. We start with telecommunications sector. Okay, now, we realized that mobile phone ownership has gone to 100%. It means that everybody in Ghana has a mobile phone. Now, a majority of the subscribers also subscribe to more than one network. Some subscribe to 2 networks. You can see that 58% subscribe to 1 network, and then 2% subscribe to 2 networks. And as you can see from the data here, this is also how much people spend on voice and data calls. About a third of the respondents spend less than 50 Ghana cedis a month on their data, and others also spend between 51 to 75 Ghana cedis. Okay. And so let's look at what the consumers tell us about their main problems. As you can see, bad reception, about 60% of the respondents said that bad reception is an issue that they are facing in the sector, followed by the slow internet. Internet speed has become like a trotro in some areas. Then credit loss. So the data people have also been transmogrifying on daily basis. They don't know where the data are going. Maybe we can get some info from NCA on this. Low quality concern and call drop rate is also about 28%. One said that, for instance, a participant from Central Region recounted, I need to send information to someone, but the network was very bad and I was very angry. In Volta region, one respondent said that most people complain that they can't reach me when they call me. They think I blocked their line. Meanwhile, I have blocked their line. And this is an issue that we all face it on a daily basis. Beyond the direct impact on the communication, some also highlighted the knock-on effects on other areas of life. One participant from Eastern region explained, I tried to give some information to my boss in bid for a project. Only God knows on that day, on that fateful day, the network failed. So the network has become unreliable sometimes. Okay. Now, about what did consumers tell us concerning their awareness level? 11% said that they know a lot about their right in the telecom sector, and then 22% also said that they know moderate amount, and then 35% said that they know little about their right, and then 30% said that they don't know anything about their right. And so NC has been doing a lot of work, but it's like when you are transmitting signals and people are not receiving it, then you need to check your signal strength. So this is a feedback to NC. One respondent said that from Eastern region, I think in Ghana here, those who are educated are the ones who know their right. Those of us who are not educated enough, they don't even talk about consumer rights. And all of this because they are not interested in what. As you know, in Ghana, they look at you and then provide you a service. The car that you drive determines the type of service that you get. Okay. So this is also further concerns consumer perception on available information on efficiency of NCA and awareness of the redress mechanisms. And so consumer confidence that consumers have enough information about their rights, and it is also not very encouraging. Frequency of NCA and other institutions work to safeguard their. We also ask consumers to tell us how do they believe that NCA is also safeguarding their interests. And the majority of them said that, look, about 14% said that most of the time, and then 34% said some of the time, and occasionally was 22%, and neither also believe that about 11% said so. And so these are all a feedback to NCA. In Accra, during the focus group discussion, one lady said that even when we know our right, the companies don't even follow the rules because no one enforces them. In Western regions, one lady from Western region said that they don't care about us because we live far away and they only fix things fast in the big cities. That is why the last population and housing census showed that Accra is not the biggest city. Some years ago, it used to be Kumasi. And if you live in Accra, if you live outside Accra, you live at the outskirts of the metropolis of Hope. And so everybody is trying to come to Accra because you get the best of things here in Accra. Okay. Satisfactions with service providers and regulatory bodies. Okay. 2.1% said they are very satisfied. And I think that the satisfaction level is okay largely with the telecom services. But you can see that about 5% of them are very dissatisfied. And I believe that when you are serving 32 million consumers, you can't satisfy everybody. But the general assumption is that a lot of work needs to be done. One participant from Greater Accra said that NCA is trying, but their presence is not fit. They need to do more to hold the telecos accountable. And one also said that I have heard of the consumer protection law, but I don't think that they are working because the problems persist. Over to you, NCA. Let's go to road safety. And road safety is an issue in Ghana because in Ghana, when you are traveling, you have to pray and even fast. Come to Accra, you have to fast so that you can go and come back alive. Okay. So let's look at the road safety. You realize that 31% use frequency of usage of the public transportation and 31% use public transportation, largely the trotro. And when we also ask consumers about their awareness level, about their right, they also said that they don't know their right. And honestly, I don't know anything much about my right as a passenger. No one has ever educated us. The drivers and their mates just treat us however that they want. In Tamale, a male participant said, I wish to receive more education on what our rights are and how to report issues. Most of us just accept the situation because we don't know better. And this is very, very interesting, which I think is also happening to most of us. Anytime I'm in a commercial vehicle and the driver is engaged in a reckless driving, I try to alert the driver to be careful. The other day, one passenger told me that if he wanted a slow-moving car, he would have gone with tortoise. And so sometimes, when the driver is even overspeeding, doing all the reckless driving, and you gather the courage to tell the driver to please slow down, a passenger will tell you that please, Okada or whatever. Another consumer. So sometimes the problem is not even with the driver, but also the consumer. But however, even if there is a way by which the passenger could have reported the car as it is live in motion through an app or a call, that could have also helped. But most of the time, you want to wait and report the thing at your final destination. What's the guarantee that that reckless driver can take you to your final destination? Okay. Perception of road safety laws and enforcement. About 13% believe that the road safety laws we have in Ghana is very adequate. And then more than 2/3 of them also believe that they are not adequate. And I'm happy that there's a lot of reviews on the road safety laws. But let's look at this quotation from Kumasi. The police are supposed to enforce the law, but they do not. They just take bribes from drivers and let them go, even when they are clearly violating regulations. And this week on City FM's, Bernard said that he has never seen any commercial driver using reading glasses. Do we believe that all of the truck drivers and taxi drivers, they have better eyesight than those driving private cars? Yes. But even now, when you go, before you can get your license, you are supposed to do eye test. And I don't know whether the eye test is not bringing out the bad eyesight of. So if you don't want your eyesight to be bad, then go and drive commercial car. Because commercial drivers don't have an eye problem based upon what we are seeing in Ghana. Okay. Let's look at the main concern of consumers in the roads. 75% complain of what? Overspeeding. 74% also bad road. 40 vehicles is 53%. Overloaded vehicle was 46.2. Then drunk driving is 41. Absence of road signage is also 31%. And high transport fare is also another issue that road users face. Let's move on to the e-commerce. And nowadays, we all sit at home and order things from social media, Instagram, and whatever. 64 of the participants use online marketplace like Jumia and Tonaton for e-commerce. 68 of them use social media platform for like Facebook, Instagram, and other things. Product and services that people purchase. Now they purchase everything from social media. If you want to buy a land, everything, you can get them from social media. But Ghana Revenue Authority will tell you that most of these institutions are not paying taxes because they are operating from their car boot. Okay. Awareness of the consumer protection laws or regulations specific to e-commerce, 76% said no. And so when you are buying something on over the internet, there's no protection for you as a consumer. Perhaps if you can read and understand the Electronic Transactions Law Act, you may have some relief. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of consumers don't understand, have no idea about the consumer protection with regards to e-commerce. And when you use your card to buy something and you don't get the product, you may not even be able to recover your money. Confidence level on the online marketplace is also low. When you are buying, so most most consumers prefer to what? Cash on delivery. I order the thing, you bring it to my house, and then I take it and I give you money. Okay. Let's move on to the banking sector. Bank of Ghana, I'm sure they are also here. About 92% of the respondents have sought banking or financial services in the past. 97.61 also have bank accounts in the country. And let me also tell you that mobile money is also a bank account. If you don't know, now you must know. Okay. So most of the consumers are concerned about the way in which they are served in the banking hall. The speed is very slow. When you talk about the speed of service in banking hall, about 18% says that the speed is very, very slow. Some banks have become more like a museum. You go there and you can spend about 3 hours before you come out. Yes. And this is also consumer worry. Availability of online banking. Most of the banks are also largely represented on the online internet banking. On the reliability of ATM is also another issue. About 12% said that ATM is unreliable. And then also 44.5% said that ATM service is good. But largely, you can also see 31% saying that ATM services is also fair. Okay. What are the key challenges that consumers face within the banking industry? Poor customer care, fraud. So customer care issues about 40%, fraud is about 30%, and poor information disclosure. The banks have not also been disclosing information especially when you want to take financial credit, because they want to sell the loan to you so they try to, even where they disclose it, you may even have to take the document to a lawyer to read and understand the thing for you. Okay. And how often do consumers face these concerns? 46.4% of consumers said that they face it occasionally, and 34.9% also said that they also face it frequently. So this means that the problem persists within the banking sector, and I'm sure that the Bank of Ghana can do more about it. Satisfaction level is quite neutral, and 52.2% said they are satisfied. 40% said they are also they are quite neutral about it. So it means that a lot of work needs to be done in the banking sector by BOG. Okay. And okay, this explains the previous data, so I can go ahead. Now let's go on to the electricity, and PRC is also here, and people have been talking about the doomsday. By the time that this data was collected, we didn't have the doomsday, and so this data gives us a very good consumer perception. And this is how much people spend on their electricity. About 7.25% spend less than 50 Ghana cedis a month on electricity. Let's look at the power outages. 52.75 experience outages 1 to 2 times per week. Today, it may be more than that. For example, I had it 4 times. Yes. 52.6 experience outages 3 to 5 times a week. So this is something that we need to look at it. Awareness of the redress mechanism. About 11% said that they know a lot about their right. 28.7% said that they know moderate things about their right. And then 34.2% said little. And 26.2% said they don't know anything about their right. Awareness of any law in the consumer protection side within the electricity sector, 4.4% said that they know. 4.4% said that they know about their right, And then 25.8 said they know moderate. Then those who know a little bit about the law is 37.5, and 32.4 said that they don't know anything with regards to consumer protection issues. And so Allergy and PURC, you need to do more to enhance consumer issues. Okay. Satisfactions with service providers. 2.2% said they are very dissatisfied, and then 22.9 said they are dissatisfied. About 40 said they are neutral, and 33.3 said they are satisfied. That is good. And rating of ECG services, majority of them gave, about 55% gave ECG average, and then 12% gave them above average. 24% said it is below pass mark, so ECG may have to reset their performance again. Then to water. About 7.9 rely on pipe-borne water, 17.8 rely on borehole water, about 8% rely on sachet water, water tank, and other. And I'm sure we also belong to the third group, the 7.9 that rely on sachet and water tanks. If you live in Accra, you don't get water coming daily. This data talks about how much consumers pay on electricity. So let's look at the regularity of water supply. 39.6 said all the time they get water. Then 14.8 said every 2 days. About 0.06 said not at all. And 6.1 said once in 2 weeks, once a week. This data also tells a lot. Okay. The main complaints by consumer electricity sector, unannounced water cuts. So you'll be there when your pipe is shut, any notice. And slow or no response to issues. Whenever you have issues and you call the Ghana Water hotline, days before someone attends to your issue. Then regular increase in tariff. I think for the last 2-3 years, we've seen a quarterly adjustment in tariff, and consumers are concerned about that. Poor relation between Ghana Water workers. Yes, so sometimes when they come to your house, the way they talk to you, people were not satisfied about that. But there are more details in the main report. So this is just the highlight of the study. And let me say that, as Justice said, we shared these findings with all the regulators. They had a privilege to review the report. They gave us a comment, and we used the comment to revise the report. Okay. On the awareness of consumer rights in water sector, 9% said they know a lot about their right. Almost 30% said moderate. And then 41% said they know a little about their right. 21.3% said they don't know anything about their rights in the water sector. Okay. Let's move on to this Aboboya waste, garbage. Yes. And I'm sure we see all these things in Accra here. And we also decided to look at the waste. So on the regularity of waste collection, 29.33 of the respondents reported that no waste collection in their communities. So if you live in a community and they are not coming, where, for example, where I live, sometimes it takes about a month before they come. So sometimes I have to put the thing into my car and then drive it to the nearest place where I can get someone to get them. Then 27.4 receive a weekly collection. 5.29 receive a bi-weekly collection. Then 13.46 receive a monthly collection of garbage. And then 15.38 face irregular pickups, and that is also another issue. And we also ask the consumers, perception of the local government effort in maintaining clean cities. How do you see that your assemblies doing to cities clean? 50.48 believe local government are not doing enough about getting the cities clean. About 30% said they are not sure, they are unsure, and 21% think that the government is doing enough. Okay. Reporting sanitation issues. 77.4% of the respondents have never reported sanitation issue. So when you are going around, you see a heap of garbage. I mean, even whom do you talk to? Do you talk to Zoom Lion? And some of them, 63.83 said that they reported to the district authorities. And people even think that Zoom Lion is even a regulator of the waste and the garbage industry. They are just a service provider. And until they have a contract, they can't even work. And then 4.26 said that they have reported to other channels like their MPs or Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Okay. Satisfaction with the resolution of reported issues. 46.63 said that they were dissatisfied when you report a problem in the garbage sector. And then 18.27 said they were satisfied. And 35.31 said they were indifferent. Okay. So I think now we are at the final approach to the runway. So let me get to the aviation sector. Okay. So the main consumer issues when you use airlines, whether domestic or international, is that flight delays or flight cancellations and poor customer service. You may arrive, but your baggage will not arrive. Then there's also a high ticket price. Those things are economics. And then also in-flight service issues. Someone said, my flight was canceled. I waited for 4 hours, and unfortunately, there was no space for me on the last flight. It was hour from Tamale to Accra. Another person said, even at the front desk, you don't even get help. So if you have a problem with when your flight is canceled or delayed and you approach the front desk, they will not get you any assistance unless you get relief until you escalate your situation. Consumers also lamented about delayed baggage, and one said that anytime I travel and my bags don't come with me, I will have to go back to the airport for it. I know for sure that in Europe and America, airlines will deliver your bags to your address you provide in case your bag didn't arrive. But the same international airlines cannot do the same here in Ghana. Okay. On reporting of issues, 62.5% of respondents said they have reported issues that relate with the airline. About 2.5% have engaged the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. And today we have them here, and they also speak to the report. 77.1% said that the airline feedback was not helpful in resolving their complaint. 57.6% said that those who reported issues felt that the thing was not even addressed at all. Okay, let's take one quotation from here. So, unfortunately, most of the airlines do not have their customer service in Ghana except the ticketing officers, and all customer services are outside the country. Calling them, this number can sometimes be very, very expensive. And I remember having to be on a phone over an hour trying to change a ticket. I mean, guess how much the cost that I spent on credit. Okay. Consumer rating in the aviation sector, 13% say it's very poor, 41.3 say it's average, and then 41.3 also say it's good, and then 4.4 said it's it's excellent. Okay. So we are almost done. Let's walk through the recommendations It's a one slide. So, and enact a comprehensive consumer protection law that consolidates all the existing sector-specific regulations and provide an overarching principles and enforcement mechanism. This will create a unified legal basis for safeguarding consumer rights across sectors. Establish an independent and well-resourced consumer protection authority to oversee the implementation of the consumer protection issues in the country that can handle and promote consumer education. Third, mandate service providers across sectors to establish and publicize effective complaint resolution mechanisms with clear timeline and escalation procedures. Regulators should monitor compliance and impose penalties for non-adherence. Develop a sector-specific consumer protection guideline, as we have, in consultation with stakeholder and consumer group. And this should set a minimum service standard, pricing transparency requirement, and fair contract. Okay. So this is the end of my presentation. I'm done.
Another round of applause for lawyer Adumako. Thank you so much for these insights. In fact, it is good data, because if we are to fix some of these issues, that's what gives us a good experience in, if you're living in a place, that's what gives you a good experience. I remember when I was studying at the University of Liverpool, the point that he made about when you're traveling to Kumasi or any long distance, you have to pray. For some of us, we used to pray and fast before. Then I had to take trips outside of Liverpool, and I didn't have to pray. So I was like, but I thought whenever you're going on a long distance, you have to fast and pray. So indeed, there are some things that you really don't have to fast and pray. It is up to us to fix it. And we need Ghana to be better. And these are some of the issues that we need to fix. So the idea of dignity of a consumer, of a person, of somebody that you are interacting with. Sometimes when you have to go get your due or get somebody to fix something for you, you have to even go and beg to get what is due you. And I think these things have to change. And I think that they will change when we all explore the idea of seeing ourselves first as a consumer. Now I'm going to be thinking of myself as a consumer. And so if I think of myself as a consumer, then the kind of treatment that I want to, receive from MTN, from the airline industry, from the waste management service providers, whichever arena, that is what, when I am a service provider, I should be able to put myself in, that shoe to be able to, do a better job for another consumer. So yes, the idea of seeing ourselves as consumers first, and then the dignity of the consumer, we need to respect that. And the fact that we need to fix these things to have, a better experience in living in our country. So without much ado, I would like to call on the representative of the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry and Agribusiness. Things have been changing in Ghana. So Madam Patricia Boateng Bano to deliver the remarks on behalf of the Honorable Minister. Please, we can keep welcoming her. Now we are consumers, and by being warm and clapping, we are providing, well, maybe we are service providers, are we? Both.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Captains of industries and the media. On behalf of the Honorable Minister, Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, I welcome you all to this event where we get the chance to highlight the challenges that consumers encounter trading on the domestic market. I also extend her warmest greetings to policymakers, captains of industries, consumer utility and trust society, consumer protection advocates, regulators, friends from the media, and all invited guests. Indeed, markets around the globe have developed their quality standards and technical requirements which products and services are required to meet. And these are aimed to protecting the health and safety of consumers and the environment. It is for this reason that certain goods are not able to enter the international market. Why are certain goods not able to enter the international market, but is able to enter the local market? Something must be done. These technical requirements prevent the flow of standard and counterfeit products into these international markets. Ghana, like other developing countries, should develop their quality infrastructure to prevent the influx of substandard and counterfeit goods. It is exasperating to find that a product you recently purchased has a defect. And in many cases, too, products once sold are not returnable. You are then in a dilemma when purchasing, because these are equal chances whether the products you are purchasing may work or may not work. A consumer should be able to purchase any product of his or her choice confidently without any doubts about the performance or the durability of that particular product. Government is under the obligation to safeguard the health and safety of its citizens and recognizes that it can do so through the enactment of a consumer protection law. The enactment of a consumer protection law will protect consumers and prevent unfair trade practices. The challenges faced by consumers are enormous, and the ability to identify these challenges is a great step towards resolving them. It is worthwhile, therefore, to understand the state of consumers in Ghana to take the necessary steps to resolve them. Government is committed to ensuring the consumer protection law is passed, and the report by CAT National gives a fresh impetus to move forward the agenda of enacting the law. We learned that the report spans 8 critical sectors, namely telecommunications, road safety, e-commerce, banking, electricity, water, waste management, and aviation. Fragmented regulations across sectors creates gap in enforcement, leaving consumers to bear the burden of poor services, limited awareness, and inadequate redress mechanisms. Through the consumer protection law, these regulations will be consolidated and the rights of consumers will be upheld. We are therefore today to launch 2025 reports of the state of the Ghanaian consumer, and on that note, I would like to commend the efforts that have gone into the preparation of the report by CAT International. As government, we are committed to ensuring that we reset Ghana, we are committed to rebuild Ghana, and we are committed to protect Ghanaian consumers. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, captains of industries, the media, with a singular honor, and the members, and as members join me together, I declare the 2025 reports on the state of the Ghanaian consumer duly launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Patricia Boateng-Bano, for launching the report for us. We will be going into the panel discussion. Okay, so there is actually a sheet being passed around, so kindly fill the sheet being passed around for both soft and hard copies of the research report. Please, has anybody seen such a sheet going around? Okay, then they will be bringing it around. So I have a riddle to ask us, and I guess the person who will get it right, Lawyer Adumako, what can we give the person? Maybe the person will be the first one to receive the report. So my riddle goes, why did the consumer or purchaser bring a ladder to the shop or store? Is this one too British? Why would somebody going to a shop take a ladder? It's a riddle. Anyone? Please, nobody wants $1 million. Hey. Can someone try? Please, I need someone to try. No one? Okay. It's because the person heard that. Oh, yes, great. Oh, no? Just money.
It's because they had the price.
It's time for the SWESCO 66th anniversary celebrations and alumni homecoming. The dates, Friday 21st of March 2025 through till Sunday the 23rd of March 2025. Now on Friday at 10 a.m. at the school complex, How I Got There. At 1:30 p.m. at the forecourt of the school complex, Alumni Interhouses Gary Soakings Experience. At 6 p.m. on campus, Candlelight Procession. At 8 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Roll Call and Welcomes Jam with the Kwampa Band. On Saturday at 8 a.m. at the Esther Hansen Grounds, Speech and Prize Giving Ceremony. At 1 p.m. the commissioning of the new Masters Flats. At 1:45 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni All-Year Groups Lunch. At 7 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Dance Party with Inchin Chin Band. Then on Sunday at 9 a.m., Thanksgiving service at the Esther Hansen Grounds. It's the 66th anniversary celebrations and alumni homecoming of SWESCO. Semper Cum Optimus. Always with the best.
Civil Aviation Authority. Please, let's welcome with an applause. Okay. Then Alhaji Jabaru Abubakar, Director, Regional Operations of Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission. Yes, I called Mr. Isamwa. Please, you can join me. Then I'd like to have Mr. Henry Asumeni, Director, Planning and Programs of the National Road Safety Authority.
Do we have a rep from Bank of Ghana here? Okay. So that is fine. It's not deliberate that we are all males. So nobody should say gender balance now. But maybe we'll do better next time. Okay, so thank you and welcome. I think you've all heard had the opportunity to read the report and heard some of the presentation and the findings done by, Lawyer Apia Adumako. Let me start with you from National Communications Authority. And the key question here is this finding and also the belief that voice and data costs are high in Ghana relative to other parts of Africa. First of all, can you elaborate on that? And secondly, what can be done to make our data prices at least competitive?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, industry captains. NCA is glad to be here. So before I say anything, please let me do my public education first. Please, to reach the NCA, complaints at nca.org.gh. Complaints with an S at nca.org.gh. Please, I don't want people here saying they don't know this, so I'm making that. And we have hotline. Our hotline is also 0307 011 419. It will come. Don't worry. It will come. It's not 419. And then also...
please repeat the number again.
So 0307 011 419.
Okay.
And then we have a toll-free number 0800 0800 110 0800 110 622.
Okay.
Please, you'll reach us. And from here, I've made you all respectfully ambassadors of NCA. Please share those contacts with people so they can reach us. So to go to your question, I think I have to commend the CATS International for this, if I say, very instructive and detailed work done. I think you are helping NCA, especially because I saw that from the respondent. The lion's share is on the telecommunications. So
Exactly.
myself and Uncle Ken, I see back there, we have our work cut out once we pick this document. But the issue on data, there are inputs, if you like, there are components in providing the service. Mm-hmm. Those inputs have gone up. It's no fault of the telcos or the NCA for that matter. It's an issue of what the market is driving. Okay, so when those components begin to come down, those inputs begin to come down, we'll see change. We'll see change in them. Of course, there are issues about quality of service and all that. All of those things, NCA have taken step. We have put it together. In fact, it's in its final stages. A QoS regulation. If that one is passed, a lot of things would be really, really better for us. And then our current minister has also, forcefully indicated that the sector that he manages need to be reviewed in terms of the laws. Because, of course, the industry has itself evolved. The technology that we used to use since 2008, when the AC Act came into force, those technologies are now obsolete now. Okay. So new things are coming up, and we believe that once we finish this review, a lot of things will change. And
do you have some timelines?
Well, the minister was kind enough to tell us that he wants to send this to Parliament as soon as possible. I think he mentioned something to the timelines of June. And so we are, I believe there's a good opportunity for us to review. For instance, let me say this. The law says, and this is the law, it's not easy. The law says that if I receive complaint, I have 7 days to send it to the MNOs for redress or to handle.
Just for the sake of the public,
Yeah.
You have to explain some of the acronyms. The mobile network operators, MNOs. That's
Okay,
what you mean.
okay. So the MNOs are the mobile network operators.
Okay.
The MTNs of our time, the AT, the Telecel. So now, if the law says that within 7 days, I should send it to the MNO to resolve, that is the period I have to work in. And get this. If I send it to the MNOs, they also have 30 days. So it doesn't really matter what your complaint is. They have 30 days. But we have an industry, MNOs, who have been very responsive. Sometimes they don't even take a week to do it. So we are reviewing the law to bring all this down. Otherwise, you cannot change what the law says. So I believe these are some of the measures NC is taking.
But certainly, if you have within 30 days, it means that you can answer from point zero, right?
Yes. So usually you send, say, I lost data. The MNO would investigate. But they are not obliged to give you the feedback before the 30 days. So they can wait. When it's getting closer, then they give you. But we want them to be faster. And because of the relationship NCA has built with the MNOs, most of the cases are dealt with within a week. Okay. Really, that's what we handle at NCA. And it's been very smooth. We have very successful stories people have shared with us, how NCA has solved it. But we'll take some feedback from this report and improve on our way.
Okay. So let me come to the rep from the Road Safety Authority. I mean, it's interesting that as Ghanaians, we have a way of making light of our predicament. I mean, like when we spoke about fasting and praying before you travel, everybody laughed. And it's not because prayer and fasting is not important, but it's a question of where we should put the weight. Should we look at this very scenario? And the scenario is that we have high incidence of, reported accidents, some due to human error, some due to, principally from the report, human error, and then also bad road infrastructure. As a regulator, what are you doing to address this problem?
Okay, thank you very much.
It's been reported elsewhere that road accidents is the highest killer than any other disease we experience in this country.
Okay, thank you very much. So first I'll go to the data that you just mentioned. So yes, it is true that data shows that about 90% of road crashes that happen in Ghana are as a result of the road user, be the driver, the passenger, the pedestrian, whoever is on the road. It's only about 10% that is contributed by the road and then the vehicle. I'm not saying the roads are good. What it means is that even if the road is not good, you as the road user, you need to use the road safely. So you need to use the road in such a way that it won't cause harm to yourself and to other people. What I see in this report is that it's actually centered on passengers. But I must say that when it comes to road safety, our clientele cuts across. Our clientele does not settle on just passengers. It settles on all road users. As soon as you are born, you become our client because you'll be born mostly in the hospital. And you'll be transported from the hospital to the house. So you become our client. But let me just center it on the passengers here where we are dealing with public transport. All the findings that are in the report, I must also congratulate CAT for a good work done because most of the findings are things that are there. We know, we've seen them, and it is truthful. This report, although the size may be small, it brings out the issues. And it is in this line that government, seeing this, enhance the National Road Safety Authority's mandate. We used to be a commission, and we had a different mandate then. Now, as an authority, our mandate has been enhanced such that we need to regulate the road transport services, including these buses, trotros, taxis, and everybody. that's the Act 993. I saw that when he was presenting, he mentioned everybody's act. When he got to National Road Safety Authority, he just said National Road Safety Authority 2019. Please, lawyer, it is Act 993. Then further on, we were supposed to bring in an LI to show how we intend to regulate the road transport services. This LI came into force in the year 2022.
Okay.
And as proactive as we are, before even the law came into being, we started something that we want to use technology to do this regulation. We don't want to go manual before we transform.
Okay.
So we want to use technology. So I'm sure maybe you've heard of something in the air called Transport Ghana. I don't know if anybody has said it yet, but Transport Ghana.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Transport Ghana is using technology to regulate road transport services.
Okay.
And that is something we have developed. We have already finished the development. Now we are registering all operators. We are onboarding all operators. And what is the significant thing that this will
Sorry,
do?
can you just take a minute and describe what this platform is? What is it?
Yes. So this platform is a platform that we are going to use to regulate transport services.
Mm-hmm.
What it does is that, one, each transport service provider, road transport service like GPRTU, like STC, would have to come onto the platform to register.
Okay.
In registering, we call it onboarding. You are going to onboard your services. You are going to onboard your vehicles. You are going to onboard your drivers. So at a glance from our office, we will know all STC drivers. We will know all their vehicles. We will know whether they are in good condition, whether they are in bad condition.
Mm-hmm.
But the game changer in the app is the tracking. And Prof is gone. He would have even helped me here because we are actually working with them to bring in the standards for vehicle tracking. As
Okay.
at now, there are no standards for vehicle tracking. People just bring them in. But we are developing standards for vehicle tracking. And this is the trackers that will be used on commercial vehicles, such that at the click of a button by the operator, we have the operator and the driver.
Mm-hmm.
By the operator, he can monitor his vehicle on the road.
Okay.
At the same time, as the authority, we can also monitor the vehicle on the road.
Okay.
And as it was shown in the report, which is true, most of these crashes, fatal crashes that we experience in Ghana as a result of high speeds.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the first thing we are tackling, where within the tracking app, if you are going above the limit constantly, your trail will be shown red.
Mm-hmm.
And the operator your operator would see. So if it's a GPRTU vehicle, GPRTU would see it. And we too, we would see it. And if GPRTU do not take action, we would take action.
Okay.
So basically, that is transport, and that is what we are bringing to sanitize this road transport environment.
So I mean, just to be fair, I don't want to take too much questions for you, but your explanation is making me think a lot. First of all, we're talking. I don't know the number of commercial vehicles Ghana has. Operators that Ghana has, but you're talking about operator plus the vehicle.
Yes.
So if there are maybe a certain number of operators, we expect maybe a multiple number of vehicles.
Yeah.
And you're saying that this platform should be able to track each single operator and their vehicle and be able to inform this as to their usage, their speed, and things like that. I'm just thinking practically how that will be done because systems have limits and bandwidth. We're talking about systems that would depend on perhaps internet and things like that, whether we have internet coverage across the country. Again, it goes to the point about whether we are all users. So I'm just thinking about whether that is the solution we need or it's one of the solutions we have.
Okay. So maybe I'll answer the last one. It's one of the solutions we have.
Okay.
I only wanted to explain that because the report centered on passengers transiting.
Okay.
So yes, we know about the bandwidth, and so as I said, let's say if it's a GPRT, GPRTU are broken down in branches.
Mm-hmm.
So at the regional level, they also have over their vehicles within the region, they have authority over them.
Okay.
So at the authority, we only see what we want to see. So let's say if a report comes in, within a Transport Ghana development, we have an app coming up that is called a road safety app. And the road safety app will be made available to everybody on iOS and Android, such that you can report issues on the road safety app. So let's say a report comes on it that a vehicle traveling from Kumasi, a passenger reports that it's overspeeding. We can go into the system, where we have the vehicle number, we can go
Okay.
into the system and see the vehicle.
Okay.
So it's not like it's every time, every vehicle we see. But when we want to see a particular vehicle, we can go in and see that vehicle.
Okay.
And the first action we take is to notify the operator that this particular vehicle of yours is doing 1, 2, 3 on the road. Then we also notify the police. The police also has a technology which they are going to use for enforcement, so that this bribery, you reported a bribery issue, would all stop, because now there won't be human-to-human interface. And I'm sure some of you have received some notices before. Have you received some before?
No.
Then
Sir.
you don't speed. You are good. You're a good driver.
I can't assume that.
But
because-
I don't know if somebody has received a caution notice before here, where you receive and they tell you they set a caution notice because you were speeding above the.
Okay. So let me take. I was going to do one question per person, come back, and then ask the audience to also ask questions. But let me take this one. Do you have, as we speak today, a mechanism like NCA has, where you can report an issue, no digitalization included? I can call, I can send a message. Do you have something like that now? And if you have, please lay it out so that the public can be aware.
Okay, thank you. So we used to have a call center, but as I said, because of the innovation we are going through, it is down for now. So when we finish this development of the app and we deploy it, that is when it will come back up. But you can reach us through our social media pages, and then or Facebook, Instagram, or X, National Road Safety Authority.
Okay.
You can also reach us through our website. As I said, very soon we'll be launching the road safety app, which has been developed, and that one too would get us information.
Okay.
And apart from that, we also work with the Ministry of Roads and Highways. I don't know if you've seen them, Maintain My Roads app. That one too is another avenue that you can report bad roads.
Okay. I'll come back to you on that. But let's go to Alhaji. Alhaji Abubakar, so this is a question that I think even you yourself, you would like to ask yourself. And the question is based on the report. There's this back and forth question as to whether power supply and power availability has improved over the years. And the report, let me quote what the report says. Majority of respondents feel that power supply has not improved over the years. What is PURC's factual assessment of this? Are we improving? Are we stagnant or not?
Thank you
Power
very
supply.
much. Thank you very much. I think I would want to commend the guys for this platform. And I think our relationship goes way back, maybe 15 years back. And I must say to the audience that one of the complaints that Lawyer Adumako brought caused a change in our LI 2413. He might not know, but today I'm stating to him. There was one gentleman he brought from Kumasi who had a shock of electricity. Yes. No, but I'm just talking about the relationship. So when I was the regional manager then, and when we started the investigation, we got to complications in that we got to human pass. And as a regulator, how can I quantify a heap? So when we're doing our revision of our LI 2413, what we did was that we excluded it. It is only the cost that can know how much life is valued. So if you look at our complaint processes, PURC now takes out the jurisdiction of bodily injuries and deaths, because we don't know how much a part of a human being costs because of the complications of the case that he brought.
Okay.
So I would like to commend people for these things. I think going through the report, we've made formal inputs to them, when we went through it. And it's a confirmation of what is on the grounds. But when we talk of improvement in service delivery or electricity supply, we have it in two folds. Some people might look at the quality aspect. Some people will look at availability aspect. So, and some people will look at security. So we have 2-3 folds of energy sufficiency. Availability, yes, we have available capacity, which maybe Ghanaians can talk about. Security, somehow we are not that secure, because predominantly our source of fuel is largely on gas.
Okay.
And you realize that recently we had some pockets of outages and some resemblance of load shedding because they had to do some servicing on the West African gas pipeline.
Okay.
In terms of security, where even our power plants are located, if you do a lot of analysis with energy security, you would think that it is not the best as a country because we look at the fuel and we look at even location. So our fuel doesn't make us secured when it comes to electricity supply. In terms of location, east and west, if there is an attack on the west, it will affect the east and the system is likely to collapse. So we definitely have to now look at how we can position our generations in such a way that we are energy secured. And the reason why Ghana, we have this problem is that a lot of the development and investment have been done in the east and west. Currently, we have a system challenge in Kumasi where they are moving a lot of generators. For me seated here as a technical person, I know the power that will be coming from that place is going to cause some sort of system challenge because power flowing back will induce losses. Okay. And it will also cause some challenge to the grid. Okay. So we need to also spread, and I think this is good that the Ministry of Trade and Agro-Business is here. At least if some incentives could be given to investors to now site some industries up north, so that when you station power generators within the middle belt or in the north, they can consume it. Because once you are going to have it flowing back, there is a tendency that it might affect the grid and we'll have a system collapse. So these are the faults that we have. So what we are experiencing currently...
But speaking as a PURC, is this not in your purview? Don't you have either an advisory role or a cautionary role towards the suppliers or the providers, retailers, distributors, say, look, what you're doing, this is what could happen. And why isn't that being considered in this? Because you are actually foretelling that if what is being done continues, we're actually going to have supply challenges, correct?
Yeah. So I think we've done a lot of position papers, advisory papers to the various stakeholders. And I must say we've had serious collaboration with the Ministry of Trade in the past when it came to this 1D, 1F, because they are tariffing, they needed some incentives, and we needed also to guide. Now we're talking about time of use because we're talking about 24-hour economy. Mm-hmm. So time of use tariff, we are working on the guidelines. So we've been talking with most of the sector players and the stakeholders on some of these things, and we've advised extensively on some of these things. But you see, you need to consciously do some things. I think the road safety, my colleague here has mentioned some of the accidents, overspeeding, and all those things. Do we have the necessary infrastructure that will encourage investors to go to site something in Paga? Even within our system, if I tell Grico to set a substation, currently we have some challenges in some parts of the country. Let's say Bimbila, for instance, they can't even get ice block. Just ice block. And you know this is Ramadan period, you need ice block. So you take it from Tamale to Bimbila because of the voltage decay. People who have air conditioners cannot use it. And they need a substation there. But economically, it's not viable for Grico, the transporter, to go and put a substation there because of the customers that they are serving. So in other jurisdictions, the model they do is that because they want to still serve the rural folks, they still also make sure that they have deliberate industries there so that it will balance the customer profiling. If you have lifeliners, I don't see any economic sense trying to put investment to that place. So until we do this deliberate conscious effort to spread investment across the country, some parts of the country will not be viable. NETCO takes just 10% of the energy. And everybody here, every time they say ECG, ECG. Why are they talking about ECG? Because 70% of the energy generated within the regulated market goes to ECG. So if they fall, the entire economy fall. And that is why you hear everybody talking about ECG without talking about Northern Electricity Company. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you. Let's come to civil aviation. And Reverend, we feel as users of aviation, we feel that everywhere we go, we get better service. But in Ghana, Ghanaian travelers, we have our perception is that the service is low. Luggages don't arrive. Whenever we don't know where to complain. I mean, I'm talking about the report. We don't know who and where to complain to. And even when you complain, you may not get a solution, or you may get a half solution. For example, even when your luggage is returned, you have to find your way to the airport to pick it up, wherever you are in the country. And I really like it that everybody here is becoming an authority. I mean, somehow, I'm not a lawyer, but when you listen to people, when we become authority, now you are all authorities, except PURC. What are you using the authority for? How can we get a solution to this problem? I mean, that's what I'm trying to ask.
Thank you very much. I want to believe that the perception is out there that on certain occasions the quality of service has some differentials that goes against, or it doesn't lure to the benefit of us, not only as Ghanaians but as travelers on this part of the world. But it is not to say that it is always the situation. No, because many of us here do fly both within and also outside. So if we generalize it that every time for every airline that is the situation, that may not necessarily be the case. But be it as it may, we find it a bit often, and so it gives. Be it as it may, it still gives a cause for concern. And what we would like to say that there are some things or issues that are regulated, and so we must share with the public that in June 2019, we passed the Ghana Civil Aviation Economic Directives Part 2, we call it, which comes out and spells out a lot regards to the rights and the obligations of the passenger and also the service providers, be it the airport service provider, but mostly it has to do with the airline. And some of these concerns, they affect the flight cancellations, flight delays, baggage issues, even touching on misleading advertisement or downgrading or upgrading you in terms of your class on the flight. And one thing that we must also emphasize that it is a bit sad that some of these unfortunate developments are out there, but it is not all reported to the right authorities. For instance, at the various terminals, we have customer service points. You mean Ghana Civil Aviation Authority? Even customer service points manned by the Ghana Airports Company Limited. Then, in addition to that, we as Ghana Civil Aviation Authority also have our physical presence there with staff and a desk attending to some of these issues that have been addressed or that have been mentioned, so that in real time, as much as practicable, we can afford to take on some of these complaints as best as we can.
Okay, thank you. So I have a lot of questions, but I think because of time, I would like you to ask, maybe open the floor for 3 questions or so. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. I'll ask you to speak. You introduce yourself, and then you pose your question. Yes, our chair himself, and then Dr. Kenashigbe. So do I have an assistance with the microphone from the technical team? Thank you. So let's start with our chair, and then After that, we have Dr. Ken. Anybody else? Let me take the hands. Yes, Dr. Francisca. Okay, I have 3 questions. Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I think we can hear in the room and we can hear you online. But please go ahead.
My question is more or less a suggestion. My impression is that the service providers think they are doing their customers a favor. That's my impression.
I think so too.
That's where it's not so. We are their paymasters. I might pay 2 citizens. But if 1 million people, 1 million customers pay 2 citizens, it's a lot of money.
Exactly.
And so I think to change their mindset, how they water, electricity, all the services, that is very, very crucial. And if they change their mindset and accord their customers the beauty and respect that human being needs for enhanced service they need, I think change our attitude. For example, passengers on vehicles. You can be in a vehicle and you see the recklessness of the driver. If you complain, the other passengers will shut you down. It has happened several times, and such things leads to accidents. So we need to give and take. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Lordship. So 2 points. Let's see the customer as king. I think I was going to say that earlier. Everywhere we go, the customer is king, but here the customer is the victim. And then the second one is, as users, I think we should stand together. We shouldn't have this divided view of what the service is. Yes, Dr. Kenashwe.
So thank you very much, and thanks, Kat, for this research that has been done and this forum that has been put together. So in your first question to NCA, you said that telecommunication data prices are not competitive. But within a setting where we're talking about research, where we've done qualitative and quantitative data, we should be basing these things on facts. There's research that has been done by the NCA itself that will tell you that data prices in Ghana is very competitive compared to other countries. If you look at that various international research that has been done, I will point you to the GSMA, the Mobile World Index, and you will find out that the data cost in Ghana is competitive. One of the challenges that we face as a country, and you realize the fact that currently we have only 3 networks, and you have one of the networks that is now solely owned by the government. The government has been in the business of looking for an investor for it. The reason is because your EBITDA is very low. The challenge, I have a list of 41 fees, charges that is paid by the telecom sector. And it's those input costs that result in the cost that is charged you. Currently, let me give you one typical one. Currently, electricity for the telecom sector, the volumes, the amount of electricity that the sector consumes is comparable to what you see in the mines. It's comparable to what those who are smelting would do. They have preferential tariffs. But my colleague from PRC will tell you that we have a petition with the PRC. The telecom sector is charged at the most expensive tariff classification. And if you take for every 1 CD credit that you buy, the amount of taxation that is on it, apart from your general taxes that you have, everybody pays, there is also the CST on it, and then we compound it. So to be able to drive telecom services cost down, it would require all of us, but it is important that we look at the issues of the input cost. You talk about the issues of quality of service. Another challenge is the way, the recklessness with which we treat fiber, for example. Last year, from January to November, there were about 10,000 fiber cuts. And so this is something that all of us need to do, working together with everybody to be able to ensure that the quality of service is improved and also that we are able to reduce the cost. Because we, as an industry, we agree that now telecommunication service is a human right. It's a utility that is required to do a lot of things. So how do we reduce the cost so that everybody is able to use it to be able to provide the developments that we require? So it is something that we all need to do. And for us, research like this would help so that we all know the areas that we all need to contribute to make sure that we can make sure that telecommunication services is affordable to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's, oh yes, an applause in order. Let's come to Dr. Francisca.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. Congratulations to CATS International for this wonderful initiative. Yes, indeed, to the regulatory bodies. We can see that there's a lot of regulation in place, to be very sincere. And we've agreed, per what you're saying and what CATS is also saying, a lot of education has to be done. That is where we've gotten to. I would suggest you obviously do enforce, but can you publish some of your enforcement of customer complaints? I know I saw one for PRC where they published that they are compensating consumers for so and so amount. I mean, I think the more you do carry out your obligation, but the more you publish, people will get to know that if I report, then this is likely to happen.
Exactly.
And if I may now, I think so for especially aviation authority, if it's possible, especially there are a lot of complaints about baggage, but I know you may have enforced. So if you can publish what steps you took against service providers for complaints you got. And then for PRC, I'd like to know, there's the regulation which requires you setting up the customer service committees. Could you please educate us? Because this committee is very essential. How many of the committees are active? How do we contact them? So that's my question. I think for the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we see two hands now. Let's add them and then I'll let you respond and then we wrap up. So please take the microphone here.
To congratulate CATS for such an insightful research. And looking at the findings and also discussions from the regulatory body representatives, I think that everything points to the fact that the Consumer Protection Act or law needs to be passed. It's been in the form of a policy for many years. And thank God we have the policy maker. Oh, she's gone. Yes, so it's a very important forum. And one of the findings revealed that consumers don't know their rights. And this is very, very important. Once the law is passed, stakeholders will be engaged, sensitized on their rights, and the duty bearers will not take them for granted because they know that the right owners will certainly come after them. So I think this should not just be a forum, but the next steps should be conscious efforts to pass the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, and then we'll take a final one from there.
All right, thank you very much. Let me add my voice by congratulating CATS International. I'm representing Accra Metropolitan University. My name is Dr. Munkaila Abdelai. Two critical things came out of the presentation. One, she just spoke about having the consumer protection law that would streamline the various laws and regulations into a unified act that can guide and direct how we will champion consumerism in this country. And I believe the passage of the law will give birth to the Consumer Protection Authority. So that authority, I believe, will now be like the police over the regulators to ensure that quality services are provided to consumers. And there's a place to go to. You can channel your issues for redress. So the takeaway from the forum is that after this, let's ensure that we follow through and have this established. And then we can give the consumer a very good experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's come back to my panelists. I want you to address NCA the question of service quality, and then also any responses to the question that has been raised. Especially, I know in the past, I've also read in the past where you've either investigated or found out maybe an issue with a service provider, and you've maybe put out a charge or something, and you've published it. But like Dr. Francisca said, these things are not quite common these days. Even to publish, not just because you've made people pay, but to publish what your findings are would be good. Is this something that you can do and you do?
Thank you very much for the question. And I want to say that we're already doing it. I think Dr. Asbe made a reference to work that we have done. In my submission, I forgot to point that one out. So we have a consumer report on our website. We started 2023. So that report is there. Oh, it tells you...
But that's recent.
It tells you how many... But we are growing as a country. So we'll start somewhere. So it tells you how many complaints came in, the nature of the complaint, the time frame for resolution, and which are standing and for what reason they are standing. And I cited the issue about the law.
We are researchers.
Yes, it's there. I think you can Google right now and find it on our website. Yeah. You know, the issue of the law, we have to also work with it. Issue of quality of service, I believe NCA conduct quality of service drive tests where the services are not so good. There may be 2 or 3 issues. One is that maybe the MNO doesn't cover that area. In their license conditions, depending on the license you have, the coverage you have. If it's a 2G, probably you say region. So the MNO can decide that I'll go and then maybe put a transmitter somewhere, a mast somewhere. You know, if it's a 3G, you have to go to the districts, regional capitals. Now, what we are doing right now is to look at even the spectrum strength of the MNOs. They've been knocking on our doors for spectrum for a very long time. I think MTN wanted to do tech neutrality. We couldn't go through that process. We have a minister that thinks that all of these things should be looked at.
Okay.
And so I believe that, yes, like Justice said, we take this feedback very seriously. I think for ACA, CAT International will tell you the work we've done over the years. We don't have people bringing issues to NCA and they are not resolved. It's never done. Once it comes to NCA, we are not saying everybody should come to NCA.
No,
the first step is to go to your service provider. If they are not giving you service that you think you're satisfied, come to NCA. And NCA would always liaise with them to get the result.
No, we'll come. We're very happy with your assurances.
Yes, we'll do that.
You'll be the first. We'll actually come to you, then we'll connect you to the service provider.
In fact, that's my work. So if you probably call or send an email, I'll be the one to respond.
Thank you.
But let me add quickly to the issue of expenditure on voice and data calls. Again, Doug is right. Dr. Kenasibe is right.
Well, I didn't quote the facts. It's a perception survey.
Yes.
So it can be that it is cheap, but we still feel
exactly so
that it is not cheaper relatively.
Exactly. That's why I think I agree with him that we should put it in context. What are we measuring? I think globally, economies are not doing very well. So individuals are not themselves doing well. So if somebody got 20 cities data, one Ghana cities data, they expect to use it for a certain period.
Yes.
But for all you know, they themselves have subscribed to some services that are taking the data. So that's an education that we have to do there. And so NCA has accepted this. But let me say it that we cannot Google this. There's a report from Worldwide Mobile Pricing League, Worldwide Mobile Pricing League. And it was published by cable.co.uk, which state that in 2024, Ghana was the third in the sub-Saharan Africa region as the country with the cheapest cost of 1 gig of data per month. Ghana, cheapest.
Third.
Yes, third cheapest in Africa. Of course, Nigeria is first because Nigeria, you can tell the market is very big. So MNOs, they can slash and still can make their profit there.
Up here, you have a question.
Then Ghana was ranked. Ghana was again ranked second in the West Africa, the whole of West Africa. The report indicated that the average cost of a gigabyte of data per month was 5 cedis, 36%, which is just about 0.40 cents. I just wanted to bring this out because sometimes it may be out of ignorance and our own problems we have with even the usage of the data that we buy. And so a lot of education will be done in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to take, you have a question for NCA or comment for NCA? Okay, let's give the microphone to Lawyer Adumako. And then I'll come to National Road Safety Authority to ask you a question about how we improve public transport safety, especially the issue of rickety vehicles having roadworthy certificates. Okay. And then you wrap up. Go ahead.
Some of these data that rank countries can be very deceptive. As a mathematician, we know that they use dollar as a benchmark. But when people are buying data here, they think in cedis and spend in cedis. And when your CD has depreciated more than 80% in 2022, and you use the dollar as an index in rating prices, you are going to end up in a toxic value. So for us, when we are assessing the cost of data, we use household income, the median income expenditure over data. What is the percentage of your income that you spend on your data? That gives a better assessment, because if I'm spending 30% of my income on data and someone is spending 15%, it means that it is more expensive here. So the GSMA data and the data that you are, those things may have certain things that will not necessarily speak to the clear issues. So let us admit that the data cost in Ghana is bad, because the ranking that you are giving will kind of mask the realities. But in real sense, most people, when they are sleeping, some people, when they finish their WhatsApp, they just turn off their data because they can't keep their phone on. And Ghana is the only country that I've seen this thing happening. All because people are spending more on data than even food. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we may have to have maybe in the future, when we do this with the support of the stakeholders, to have maybe even sector-specific discussions. I know there can be a whole exchange. But let me come to National Road Safety Authority. I asked a question. Can you address that and maybe your final remarks on how we can better utilize your services as consumers?
Thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is that when it comes to road safety, road safety is multi-sectoral. So when it comes to the rickety vehicles you are talking about, there's a state agency that leads in that avenue, and that is the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority.
Okay.
So at the road safety, when it comes to regulating public transport, so far as the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority has passed a vehicle as roadworthy, unless we go back to them, we take the vehicle back for them to reassess, we cannot say it is unroadworthy.
Okay.
It's the same thing with the police. So if you watch, when the police accost you on the road, they don't say you have a rickety vehicle. They say, where is your roadworthy certificate? So if your roadworthy certificate is genuine and it is valid, If they think that your vehicle does not meet that standard, what they do is that they will call on the DVLA to come and reassess it, but they cannot say it is on roadworthy.
Okay.
It is only the DVLA that can say your vehicle is on roadworthy. But what are we doing in that avenue? What we are doing in that avenue is, as I said, in the regulatory sector, we are going to also know the operators, their drivers, and their vehicles. What this means is that we will know each driver as per his driver's license, its validity. The same with the vehicles, as they are per their roadworthiness and their validity. So that is where we come in. We come in with when it comes to the corporate entities, the GPRTUs, the STCs, but not with the individual vehicles. That one is for DVLA. And then I'm an advocate, so wherever I go, I have to advocate road safety. And I always say that we all came here by road, be it as a passenger, be it as a driver, be it as a pedestrian. I only say that we must be patient on the road before we become patients in the hospital. Okay. And it is better to be late than to be called the late. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think an applause is in order. Let me come to PURC. Address this question for us. Water supply. And also the issue of, we always hear how often you are encouraged and treated to review prices of utility services. Mostly upwards. Why never downwards? Consumers are asking.
There have been downwards revisions. We've done that twice, but we are all in Ghana. We know that the drivers of electricity and water prices are chemical which are imported and they are dollar driven. So once you have your city depreciating, obviously it will have some rippling effect on the pricing of electricity and water. Okay. Most of the chemicals that came, and I think Dr. Kenashigwe has done a lot. I think when Ghana Water published their report, that was when they intensified their call to stop the illegal mining. Mm-hmm. Because now Ghana Water cannot even use alum, which is cheap. They use polymorph, which is about 4 or 5 times the cost. So that has inversely increased the cost of production in terms of water costs. So these are things, interventions that maybe we might not know. So currently, as we speak, we've not revised tariff for the past 2 quarters because the PURC Act gives the board the mandate to be the only people who can review, the tariff, approved tariffs. So as at now, we don't have a board. So for the past 2 quarters, we've not revised tariffs. So that means that there is some fundamental, under operational costs that the utilities are incurring. Just to get to a question that was asked by Dr. Francisca, she mentioned consumer service committees, which is very, very key to the PURC operations. The commission is mandated to have these committees at the various districts where we don't have reach. As a regulator, your staffing is not huge. Normally, you operate with lean staff. So you need to get to the grassroots. So there are some places that are very far from where our regional offices are located. So by law, we are expected to establish those service committees. And they are voluntary. But when I say voluntary, their operational engagement cost has to be catered by the commission. So because of that cost aspect, we hasten slowly. Currently, we have about 9, consumer service committees. We have one in Donko Krom, Dansu Krom. We have Sekendi, Obwasi, Tumu, Damango, Bumprugu, Seshu. And in a year, I visit all because I'm in charge of those things. I visit them to find out how they are doing and the reviews. And they are to relate with the communities on the standard of supply of water and electricity if urban water is there. And they report back to our offices. So they have a chairperson, they have an organizing secretary and those things. And they also mimic the composition of the board. They have an industry rep, they have a domestic consumer who is a representative, and they also have the chairperson. So that is how it is done, and it's by law. So we are thinking that maybe in the future, when we have resources, we will be able to open across the regions. With regards to education, I think that is where we should admit as regulators and maybe service providers. We've not done a lot. I think all the issues that were, you have to be informed, you have to be educated. How many of them are informed? How many of them are educated? Most of us in this room, how many of us know how our meter works, especially the prepays? It has to take, one time a professor of mathematics came to my office that he didn't understand his bill that ECG was presenting to him. And I had to explain, professor in mathematics didn't understand how his bill is calculated. So is the education telling them what you think or letting them understand what it is? These are some of the things maybe I think the report brought up, which some of us are now discussing with the various stakeholders, so that if you can have even a simple tariff that everybody can understand. I'm a billing expert. I can tell you that if I tell you, maybe most of the people within this room with their prepays, they should tell me how they understand how their meter is charging them. 99% will not know.
No.
It only takes somebody who understands. And you see, there's always a deviation.
Our meter bills are like a Fiat.
There's
you
always
get it, you got to.
There is always about more than 10% deviation from the instantaneous and actual bill when it comes to prepaid. And that is not done in other jurisdictions because their tariff structure is very simple. So some of these concerns are now things we are taking on board and we are engaging the various parties to be. And 2024, you'll be surprised. We only encourage them to go to the utilities. We had over 12,000 complaints coming to us as PURC. I admit that the publication, we normally publicize most of the corporate issues of contentions, but we've been doing what we call regulatory digests, which we publish on there. And we've always been focusing on the technical as parameters. That is the SID, KID, and SIFI. That is the System Availability Interaction Duration Index. Then maybe the system, the frequency at which it goes off, and the customer going off a some number of times. I think this is what I have noted. Maybe within this quarter, the next regulatory brief will be on complaints, the people who have complained to the commission, and maybe some of the compensations. I think, Mr. Chair, my Lord mentioned that everybody's a consumer. We've had a situation where you see Ghana Water complaining against ECG, and you see ECG complaining against Ghana. Yesterday, we were at ECG to have a discussion with their management. And their bigger complaint was, can they get a way where they will be getting their money from Ghana Water because they don't pay them out front and they are owing them? So these are the issues, it's intertwined, and we need to address them. And the Consumer Protection Act, which is umbrella, as a regulator, I am restricted because ECG deals with customers. That is, for us, when you come to PURC, we have a distinction between a customer and a consumer. A consumer could be a customer, and a consumer could be a benefactor of a customer. So you have your case in the house. When light goes off, they fail it, so they can report. It's not only the customer who can report to ECG. Okay. So for us, ECG is concerned, or Ghana Water is concerned about how to delight their customers, but not the consumer. Okay. So this, when you have the Consumer Protection Act or any law, it will cover virtually everybody, and it will mandate even the regulators to be able to make sure that the people who don't have direct contract with the utilities to also have their rights protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alaj. I think an applause is in order. Then finally, for GCA, my question to you is, and I think many travelers may also ask that question, where can I find information about my rights as a traveler and a user of your services or the people you regulate? Where?
Thank you very much. The information is very much available on our website.
Okay.
That is
yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
GCA.com.gh.
GCA.com.gh.
Okay.
Where you can find all the nitty-gritty details, whether you have a right to reimbursement financially, whether a phone call, whether your flight should be rerouted, whether you should be provided with hotel accommodation. In what instance that my flight is delayed, even on the tarmac, whilst you are in the aircraft and you should have taken off, let's say at 2 o'clock, and they have kept you on board, and your flight is rather taken off at 3:30 or 4 or 6.
Oh, wow.
All these details are in there. We should also have this culture to also read, because whenever you purchase an air ticket, there is something in there called the conditions of carriage, which details out your obligations as well as your rights, financial and otherwise. So let us make it a duty to also find out what are my rights, and also reach out and bear our voices. There are moments when people are at the airport, something has happened. There are personnel that they can reach out to, but we say nothing, go home and complain. Let's test the waters.
Okay.
Let's attempt to test the waters. That my baggage, there's an issue with my baggage, there is lost and found unit or section. Why don't you go there, fill the form, or make that complaint? Because it's not enough for you to say, I have an issue with my baggage, when you have also not approached the service provider. In the event that your resolution is not satisfactory to you, we still have that opportunity to complain to Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, not only at our head office, but right there in the terminals. Not only the international terminals, but even the domestic terminals, or the, as it may, we also have the physical presence there. And I must also assure the general public that we have taken on board the recommendation in this survey or report to increase or improve upon our visibility and also create greater awareness. And Lawyer Adumako can attest to this, that very soon we would launch the app that he himself saw, that is almost about 95%, if not more, complete.
Okay.
That will also be available on the various digital platforms as well, so that in real time you can also make known your issues. But I must also say that we must insist on what is ours. And if you look through this, that is available on our website and what have you, it spells out so much detail that you can just show it to the airline that this is my entitlement and I deserve to have this or that. I mean, so that is what I will encourage us, that we must also do well to read and find out what is it, and have the culture of reaching out to the right people to launch our complaint or to speak to the service provider first and see what happens from there.
Okay. Thank you. Please give my panelists a big round of applause. I'd like to thank them. My key takeaway is that you are doing your best, but the awareness, the promotion, all of that must be made from your side as well. So thank you. We'll rise for a group picture, and then we should just, okay. So please, let's rise. We'll take a group picture.
Prof. My Lord Justice, all protocols observed. Thank you all very much for your thoughtful participation. Dodi, thank you for steering the panel discussion. So thank you once again for your participation and engagement today. As we conclude, I think what I'm going to say is that let's remember that the fight for consumer rights is ongoing. It doesn't end here. And that it is our collective responsibility to advocate for informed, empowered consumers in Ghana and beyond. On behalf of CATS Accra, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to continuing this vital conversation and working together for a fairer marketplace for all. Safe travels and happy World Consumer Rights Day. Thank you so much. And this one is on the side. So I actually told Mr. Adumako that I can perceive that it will be an all-male panel. So I don't want to do this MCN. I want to do the moderation. And he said, oh no, there are 2 women coming. Did that happen? It did not. Next time. Thank you all.
Let's get into the world of sports like never before.
You know how we do it on Friday.